Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We finally got some answers in this episode. They've been teasing us all season, and finally, we're starting to peel back that curtain, and we now know what's going on with Jasper, what's going on with Elgin, what's going on with Fatima. It's all converging into a huge finale, and all of the themes of this season of order breaking down in the town, it's all going to come to a head in these final two episodes. So I'm really excited to be breaking down this episode with you guys in today's video. But before we get too deep into that, I will be on a live stream tomorrow night on Scarlet Fever's channel. I'll link the channel in the description, so I hope to see you guys all there. I believe it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, around then, that we'll be starting the stream. So we'll be discussing this very episode. So I hope to hear your feedback on that stream. But with that, it's time to break into this breakdown because it is a huge episode, like I said. Now, the title of this episode is Threshold, and I've been all season pointing out what I think the major theme of each episode is, and I think that it's the title itself, Thresholds. And later on in the episode, we have Ethan basically coming out and telling us what the theme of the episode is, that the hero needs to go into this threshold. We're at this threshold, and the hero needs to be brave and continue on into it. Now, each character is kind of at a breaking decision point, and things will be decided that will change the rest of their lives, essentially. That's where we're at in this episode. And Boyd's threshold is the continuing crumbling of his sense of authority and order that he brought to this town to begin with. And we've been seeing that fracture ever since the death of Tian Chen. He challenged the creatures, "You can't break me," at the end of season 2. And they took that as a challenge accepted, and they've been trying to break his sense of authority ever since. And they've been making deals with him, Faustian deals with the ambulance situation. So ever since then, he's been having a lot more outbursts. He's definitely been a lot more on edge. And as a result of that, the sense of security that he used to bring is starting to fade away, and people are not trusting him like how they used to. Donna comes out and says this later in the episode. And here, he makes this decision with Fatima. She just murdered somebody, and she's describing it like a possession. She was possessed. She's there, but she wasn't really there. She wasn't in control. Now, whether you believe her or not, Boyd is definitely not treating her the same way he'd treat anybody else. You can just look at the character of Sarah, who is basically saying a lot of the same things. She was hearing voices. She did that because she thought she was helping everybody in the long run with these evil acts that she was committing. Boyd wanted to kill Sarah, put her in the box. Father Khatri told him not to because she has a special connection to this place. Now we have Boyd treating Fatima. He doesn't have proof that Father Khatri had, but he's treating her with this double standard because she is family now to him, obviously with his son Ellis. So he is not treating everyone the same. In season 1, we have Father Khatri saying, "I know you don't want to put this guy in the box, but you kind of have to because you set that as the rule. And if you don't enforce the rules will be broken." And now he is breaking his own rules, trying to cover up a murder, and it is going to have serious ramifications for his leadership as the season goes on. And I think it's over and done with. I think we're going to have a major change here with Boyd and the rest of the town as a result of this decision that he's making here. So here we have Jim and Tabitha and Jade and Ethan all coming back from their field trip to the place Tabitha dreamed of. No one seems happy by what they found out in the woods. Jade is pouring a drink immediately, or at least he's thinking about it. I think he's looking at the bottle, thinking about his conversation with the ghost of the bartender from previous seasons. And he's thinking about how maybe he should stop looking for answers at the bottom of the bottle. At least that's how it seems. And then he's going to use that very same bottle as a weapon when he encounters Henry, who he hasn't met yet. And I like how this episode has a few scenes where we have characters who don't normally interact talking to each other, and this is one of those scenes. And Henry and his interaction, they have a lot more similarities than we might have seen on the surface. And here we have Elgin with his possessed camera, and in the previous episodes, we've had this camera telling him what to do. It's leading him along, showing him where he needs to go next, and it's the main form of communication that he has with this ghost spirit that's been haunting him. So at the same time Tilly's body is getting discovered, this possessed camera is taking pictures, leading him along, and we see how devoted Elgin is to this spirit, to finishing this journey that he's been on. I wonder what his motivation is. If it's because he just needs to get this spirit out of him, maybe he's being possessed in the same way that Fatima is. Maybe he just thinks this is the solution to everybody's problems. Maybe he knows more than he lets on, but it really feels like he doesn't really know what he's doing at this point, unless there's conversations that he had with this ghost off camera that we haven't seen yet. It really feels like he's just going on faith and faith alone in this connection that he has with this thing. And I would say my instinct is that it's survival. He just wants the spirit out of him to stop bothering him and leave him alone so he can have a moment of peace. But I think there's going to end up being more to it than that. That's just my gut feeling watching this episode. So here we have Julie and we have Randall talking about how they went to the threshold last episode and she wants to go back, and there's this feeling that they have, and Julie feels like they have to be brave and go through that. Randall says, nothing in this town wants to help us, so we should leave it alone. And obviously Randall is wrong in that, because if there was nothing in the town helping them out, they would have starved a long time ago. There wouldn't be these talismans here. There wouldn't be the boy in white leading Tabitha away. So there are definitely things at this town that will help them, but he has a very cynical and skeptical view, which is understandable given the circumstances, because you can't tell at first glance what is good and what is not. It's hard to tell. And here we have Boyd plotting. They're going to cover up the murder. He has a plan. He's going to send his son Ellis to pack a small bag so it's not suspicious, and then they're going to walk to make sure that there aren't new visitors to the town that might have done this. Obviously just an excuse to get these supplies to Fatima. And he's just buying time in the scene here. Acosta, right on time as his authorities being questioned, she was summoned to this town, I think, to further break that and perhaps provide an alternative that people might start turning to if his position of authority is ever questioned. And I think that she falls into this role very naturally in this scene, and it is going to be a threat to him at the end of the day. They are discussing what they are going to do next, and here we even have Kenny kind of falling back into his old role as the deputy with Boyd. He resigned last season, and now he seems to just fall back into it because that's what's needed right now. And who knows, maybe he'll be Acosta's deputy by the end of the season. I'm really curious to see what's going on there. But they're going to interrogate everyone in the town. They're just going to ask questions. Where were you? Who saw you? What did you see? Those type of questions. Just normal procedure of an investigation, which Acosta is no doubt familiar with. And Boyd is kind of trying to stonewall and obfuscate, and he's trying to lead Donna away from Sarah. And Sarah, of course, is the only person who is known to have murdered people before. So she obviously wants to go talk to Sarah because everybody's going to point fingers at her regardless. So they have to question her. And Boyd knows it wasn't her. I think Donna interprets it as he is sticking up for Sarah, when really, obviously, it's that he knows what the truth is. But I think that his only loyalty to Sarah is that he kind of viewed Sarah as the last act of Father Khatri. The last thing that he really wanted from him was to leave her alive. But wow, what a drama. And I can't blame Boyd totally, because obviously people will do anything for their family, but he's definitely making the wrong decision here. And here we have Victor freaking out because Jasper is not talking to him. And really, Victor's threshold, talking about thresholds in this episode, his threshold is in his own mind. It's not Jasper that is the solution, it is him. And he needs guidance to lead him down his memories and unlock these things he's been suppressing. So that is Victor's threshold. And then we have Tabitha and Jim's threshold, which is where they've been in this uneasy place where they were going to get divorced out in the real world, and then they stayed together because of this crazy situation. And then they've been kind of drifting back towards separating again, and they're at this threshold where it's like they either have to heal things or they really do have to separate. So this is Jim's threshold in this episode. He's trying to cling to everything and keep it together. And even in this scene here, he's saying that they're trying to fix things that can't be fixed and stuff like that. So there's an unease to that scene there, and he tells her about the phone call that he had. And here Elgin is being sus and trying to find a blood bag so that he could drag his own blood away so that a pregnancy could happen. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. And Elgin doesn't seem to really be questioning it. You know, he's not like hesitant about it. He's just like, I'm doing this. But Randall comes in, and this is a great scene. Another scene where two characters who don't normally interact are talking. And this is great because they acknowledge what happened all that time ago. But this seems like putting a capper on their relationship. Like, sorry about what happened when we first were introduced into the show, but one of us is going to die now. So that's what I instinctually think when we have a scene like this, is we're going to be saying goodbye to one of them or both of them. I suspect maybe Elgin isn't long for this world given how things end, but I don't know. That's just my gut feeling. You guys will have to let me know what you think as well. But now Tabitha is the mother, so Victor needs a mother in this episode. Sarah can't be that because Sarah never was a mother. Tabitha is meeting him where he's at. Tabitha's talking to him because he has the mind of a child, so to speak. So she is able to get through to that. She knows the tricks, you know, try to distract, just be that gentle, calming force to lead him down a certain path without trying to force it upon him. So that's what he really needs in this episode, to go down this memory lane that he needs to follow. And she is the one that he needs. He had a justification for bringing her there, but I know the real reason is because of her role as a mother. And also the fact that Tabitha has this journey to find these children that she's been seeing, the Ankui children. And we find out their origin story, maybe an origin story for the whole town by the end of the episode. So I'm really excited to break into that. So here we have Jim leaving, and Julie is definitely thinking back to the conversation that they had where she had to be like a third parent when her parents were off doing other things. And you could see on her face like, oh, I have to do this again. And obviously she has a certain goal, something she wants to do right now. So she takes Ethan with her to that place. Now we're back with Jade and Henry in the bar. And I like how Jade shows that he's still the same guy. He's been definitely warming up and being a little less selfish and being nicer and stuff like that, but he's still the same guy. He's still the guy who's like, I'm smarter than everybody and I'm gonna figure it out. On one hand, obviously, that's arrogance and it's annoying and it's not a good character trait, but on the other hand, you almost need a little bit of arrogance to achieve great things. Because if you have it in this idea that, like, I'm not good enough, in the same way Victor does, you might not get to the place that Jade might get. He obviously had this experience in the real world where he had these ideas, realized them, and other people said no, that you can't do it, and he just did it. So you almost need that level of confidence to really pull these things off, but it definitely comes off like he's a jerk, you know? And here we got Jim trying to basically keep his family together. He's holding on to control. Henry sees right through him because he was in this position back before his wife left to Fromville. So he knows more than anybody what Jim is going through in this moment. And it's not totally unjustified because obviously going out into the woods and doing stuff is a dangerous thing. And he views it as Jade is the one doing this. Really, it was his wife's decision to go and bring Ethan along when obviously Jim would prefer that they stay where it's safe. So here we have Fatima questioning things. She thinks that this thing is still inside of her. She still might commit violence. It almost seems like she kind of wants to turn herself in, but Ellis obviously wants to prevent that. He wants to survive in the woods alone with her. And Fatima spots the ghost, the kimono wearing lady, and this is them tied together ever since Elgin took a photo with the camera and she showed up in that photo. That is the moment I knew that they were connected. And now we understand what it means, why this is all happening. We're going to find out very soon, and it's going to be a scary one. And here we have Elgin taking his own blood. Didn't even recruit help for that from anybody who has medical experience. He just did it on his own. You wouldn't catch me doing that with needles. I don't like that. And I love this connection between Henry and Jim, where Henry sees right through him And this is the threshold that we're talking about that Jim needs to face. And he recounts a story of when Julie was born. And at that moment, he was also at a threshold. He had this family history of alcoholism. So he was looking at this glass, and he made the decision that he was going to be a better husband and father. Obviously, it didn't seem like it 100% worked out that way. But now he has a chance. He's at another threshold with another glass in front of him, another glass of alcohol, and Henry invites him to make those same vows, obviously talking about wedding vows as well. And here we have Ethan. Like I said, he came out and said the theme of the episode, that the hero needs to take control. And while they're scared, they still need to step into this threshold and face whatever's on the other side. So that's what happens here. She fades away into this room where Boyd was previously, where they were trapped when they were asleep. And now we basically see time play out in reverse order. We get some answers to some questions here. And it's not just a hallucination. Like, she does things here that show this is really happening in one sense, but she's also convulsing on the ground in the other sense. Here we have a scene of one interrogation, and it is very obvious that everybody is going to blame Sarah, and it's the natural thing to do. It makes total sense. Acosta didn't even know about that, so now she gets another reason not to trust Boyd, the fact that he kept this from her. So even though they had this uneasy, she asked, like, are we good, Boyd? And Boyd dodged the question. He did not answer the question. So I think the answer is no, they're not going to be good. We'll find that out later on down the road here. And now we have the pivotal scene where Donna learns the truth. So Acosta and Kenny are stopped from seeing Sarah because Ethan comes out and asks for help, and they run into the woods to help Julie. Julie sees herself and the other two who were trapped, and then they disappear, and now she's back where Boyd was at the bottom of the well, and the guy was chained at the top. And I've always wondered, how did the rope get down there? Because this guy's chained up. He could not walk over there and reach it. Now we have an answer to that question. Julie was the one who did it, and the guy who's chained up knows her name. He knows her, which to me shows that she's going to go back further in time in a later episode, because he knows her and he has no reason that he should know her. So I think that she's going to go back here. She's going to meet him. We're going to see this origin of how this guy ended up chained up here to begin with. We're going to find out more about him. Maybe he's even like an older version of a character that we already know or something like that. Like maybe even Randall. I don't know. That might be stretching it. She puts the rope out for Boyd, and then she steps out and she's in the tunnels when Tabitha and Victor went to the tunnels. So I'm very curious what will happen when she goes back to the threshold later, which I think is inevitable. But she's pulled out of the room, and then she wakes up out of her trance. But like I said, it was more than just a trance, because she had a physical impact on this place. So I think that she actually was kind of in two places at once, with the dream logic of Fromville in general. Now we have Donna basically laying down the law. She knows the truth now, and she says, you have to tell everybody. And they're not going to accept it like they did with Sarah, because you're losing control. And she's just telling it like it is. Obviously, in Colony House, she is definitely more in tune with how people are feeling in the town, because the town is structured such that everybody's in their own building. So he's not as connected as just feeling the atmosphere in the room when everybody's in one building together, like in Colony House. So Donna's the voice of the people, essentially, in this scene. And she is explaining that they didn't understand what was going on with Sarah, but they accepted it because he's giving them that sense of security that they so need. And here we get the big revelation we've been building to all season. This is perhaps the origin story of Fromville itself. And I think that this sets up the end of the series, how this whole nightmare can be undone. The boy in white says the end is the beginning, and we were just time traveling with Julie in the previous scene. So I think we're going to have to undo everything, starting with saving those children, which has been Tabitha's journey all along. So I think that that is definitely the key to the end, what we're building to. So this is a huge scene here. It's also happening in the basement of the church, which is symbolic. Important things have been revealed here as well by Sarah when Father Cautry had her tied up here. So we find out it wasn't actually Jasper that revealed these secrets to Chris. It was actually the boy in white who has been leading Tabitha and everybody to try to free these children to begin with. And he tells the story of how the children were sacrificed by the ones they trust and the ones they loved, probably their parents or the people who were in charge of raising them if they're in an orphanage or something like that. So all of these children were sacrificed on those stone tables, and whether that was like a ritual sacrifice or some sort of like Salem witch trial thing where these people were misguided, that these children were bad luck or something like that. We'll find out why they did that eventually, because like I said, I think we're going back there to the beginning. But there was somebody there who gave them a story of hope before they were murdered, and that is what created the roots and the tree itself. So the tree being the faraway tree that led to the lighthouse, that led to out in the real world, that was created by the hope that these children have. So hope, again, is a continuing theme from previous seasons. When the ghost of Boyd's wife at the end of season 2 told him that he was just prolonging the inevitable by keeping people alive and keeping hope alive, and Boyd kept people alive by giving them a story of hope in a similar fashion. But that faraway tree and the roots and the symbol, it's all united now. And the roots created this symbol that Jade has been hallucinating everywhere. And it also is a logo that looks similar to the hospital logo where Tabitha was at the beginning of the season. So I think that there is a connection there. Maybe this sacrifice happened where the hospital is located. It's not just a coincidence, in my opinion. I think we'll find out more about that as we go on. And we also learn that Victor told his mother about this, and that's why she left him. That's why this memory was repressed, because Victor did not want to remember these things. It was a painful memory of his mother leaving, why it took all of this to get this out of him. And that to me sets up, I think we're going to meet Victor's mother at some point in this series. Maybe it's the key to the end. We'll have to wait and see. And here we got Elgin meeting up with Fatima right before Boyd and Ellis get there. And Ellis makes a good point here that, would Boyd have done the same thing that he's doing if he had the opportunity to take his mother away from everything? Because obviously Boyd's wife was just killing people left and right, and he put her down because he didn't have that option. But if he did have the option to escape, would he have taken it? It's an open question. It's hard to say. Either way, Boyd understands what Ellis is going through, but obviously Fatima's gone, and Elgin took her to this room where it happens, and turns out it is the birth that is going on, and there is no baby in Fatima. It's somebody else's baby. It is the spirit's baby, I believe, is what's going on here. So she has to give birth to the spirit's baby. They're connected together, and it's almost like an evil spirit of sorts. And Elgin drags her down. He's very aggressive with her. He's doing things here that are not forgivable. You could get locked up for in the real world, rightfully so. So it's definitely gone too far, but maybe it's just blind devotion. I'm not really sure if he's acting selfishly to get the spirit out of him or what, but it's a huge revelation at the end here. Everything's going to converge. We're going to have an intense finale is what I'm thinking is going to happen. So I'm really looking forward to the end of the season. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your theories and what I missed down below. Definitely hope to see you guys on the Scarlet Fever stream tomorrow night. Link in the description. And with that, it's been your boy Shogi, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.